New York City's real estate world is undergoing a major jolt. On January 1st, 2026, newly inaugurated Mayor Zohran Mamdani signed a slate of housing executive orders and policy priorities that are, a huge fundamental shift in the city. So what's the city dealing with? Well, how are they going to treat property owners, tenants, and investors moving forward? So in this video, I'm going to break down the new news of what's really happening there, what it means for property ownership, building, investing, why it's looking pretty controversial, and how does this look compared to landlord laws in Florida, a state that seems to start to have a resurge right now in 2026. So Mamdani is a self-described Democratic Socialist and former state assembly member that took office this year with housing affordability and tenant protections at the top of his agenda. Now, his administration has acted quickly, and on day one, he signed 3 executive orders targeting negligence. Okay, so this negligence, we're talking about negligence towards landlords. That's going to empower tenants more, and they're seeking, which I think is a good thing, to accelerate housing construction. However, what I didn't feel great about on that first day, Mamdani revitalized the mayor's office to protect tenants by naming Sia Weaver as the director. So as a builder and investor, I'm always looking at what are property rights, what are tenant and landlord rights, and what are building capabilities, investing capabilities for our individual states. And so right now, one of the most talked about figures in 2026 in the entire country is Sia Weaver. She's the director of the newly empowered mayor's office to protect tenants. Now, in the past, Weaver's been a tenant organizer that helped lead the statewide campaign for the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Acts of 2019, which was a big landlord package that strengthened tenants' rights, limited security deposits, and tightened eviction protections. Now, with these things seeming like good in nature at first look, when you start to get too imbalanced and tenant rights become too powerful, protection of your property with security deposits is taken away, and eviction protections actually start to go to such a long process, even to the point where they can protect squatters who have had no lease or rights to your property given by you. This can be concerning, and this is where a lot of investors are raising their eyebrows about Weaver's past. So past social media posts of Weaver's resurfaced, and those included posts where she linked home ownership and private property to white supremacy and called for collective approaches to property. These posts have since been deleted, and she's called them regretful and not reflective of her current views. But not everyone is convinced. Mayor Mamdani has publicly defended her appointment, highlighting her long record of housing advocacy and framing the controversy as a distraction from substantial policy work. And Weaver reiterated that her focus remains on safe, stable, affordable housing for all New Yorkers. Now, she said for all New Yorkers, that would include owners and tenants. The concern that people are having that it seems that of all the states in the U.S., probably New York City and California have the most powerful and one-sided tenant-friendly laws in the nation. And what people are feeling is someone is not going to look out for both sides because there should be an equilibrium. You don't want people that are going to treat your property bad. You also have to have accountability to keep a good property for people to live in. What people are saying now, though, they feel that Weaver is going to continue to lean more and more to the tenants' rights and continue to take away rights. One of the most scary words that I've heard from a lot of our investors and builder friends that are in the Northeast is that such words of collective have been used for some other scary type things where you lose property rights because other people should get a piece of it. That's not something I agree in, not why where I want to invest in, but that's one of the main words that she's going to have to work to overcome because a lot of trust has been broken with that simple thing of making it more of a collective effort for property ownership in New York. But again, other supporters are saying that Weaver's experience is vital to enforcing accountability for negligent landlords and elevating tenant voices. I am all about keeping a good property for people to be able to live in. But again, there is an equilibrium of tenant voices being heard and having rights and landlord. And a lot of landlords are not feeling that her past rhetoric, again, is going to live up to this equilibrium that she's now claiming. From my own research that I looked through, I had a lot of different things coming at me, and I am very cautious to believe anything that comes at me from one side or the other. And I was sent different things that said that Weaver had said it'll be decided who you sell your property to and for how much. I have looked through different records. I have not found anything saying that. There has definitely been hinting towards the collective, which people could say that, but she has not specifically said you need to sell it to a certain person for a certain price. That has not come out. There are arguments of people saying things she's alluded to, but from what I've seen, that has not directly been said at this time. So where does this all stand? I'm not sure. I'm not invested in New York. I'm not building in New York. We don't build in New York. We build in several states across the nation. We stay out of there just because a lot of the red tape, and we are not fans of the landlord-tenant laws. We feel they're very lopsided, and that just doesn't work for us. And one of the things, the aspects of New York law that is impacting property owners up there now is how unauthorized occupants in unused properties are treated. This goes down to what I call squatters' rights. So with Weaver being obviously from all of past comments, very tenant friendly, the question a lot of investors are asking too is, will squatters' rights start to take a whole worse path than they already are in New York? Now, let me talk about that for a little bit. When you're a squatter in New York, if you sneak into a property and you're there for at least 30 days, even if you've had no lease, you haven't been invited to the property, now that if you're able to finagle to stay in there for 30 days, which there are ways that we've seen that to happen, you have to go through a full eviction. That has to go through the housing courts where there can be delays, appeals, and can take months and months and months for people to get someone out of their property that had never had a lease and was never even invited into the property. That scares me for investors because, again, you're not getting rights to your own property, even though you have had no contractual agreement with this person that is basically trespassing and then going to their property. And after 30 days, they become your tenant, and you cannot turn off any utilities or anything of such. You could get in trouble for that. So if they want to open the windows in the summer and have the AC going, or the winter months have it open and the heat going out, you're going to have to keep those utilities on. It can put landlords in a very dangerous situation, and it can reward tenants that weren't even supposed to be there. Again, what I look for as an investor and a builder is, where will myself and my clients be able to evict a person that's not supposed to be there fast? Last year, Florida on July 1st was the first state in the U.S. to have a squatter's right rule, where basically it said if a squatter goes into your house, you can file to have them removed within 48 hours. They do not have any rights in Florida. If they have no lease agreement, they have not been invited into your house, they will be leaving immediately. I actually had to put that to practice with one of our properties that I had bought. It was a fixer-upper right near downtown St. Augustine. Someone who had a criminal record had gone into a house who was barely related to the person that was leaving, the tenant that was leaving. And we actually put this into effect about a week after, and he was gone within 2 days. This, again, I think is good for safety and good for rewarding people that are not supposed to be there, and protecting the landlord, which, again, I want an equilibrium of protection for both. But in cases where there's squatters, they weren't invited in there, I'm all about fast and swift accountability to fix these things. Again, New York has a different way of doing it. And what people have asked now is, will Weaver give even more to the squatters than people feel they already deserve?